Okay, so in this video, we are breaking down something pretty interesting, the Supreme phenomenon, how Supreme is able to sell mid-quality clothing for insane prices. And so what this video is not going to be is a full history and report of the brand of Supreme and what they've done and everything like that. The point of this video is for you to be able to walk away and only take the most valuable notes and what we can learn from Supreme to implement that into your brand, into creating content, and into your business so that you can, at the end of the day, build a Supreme level personal brand. And so jumping right into it with the Supreme phenomenon, for a little bit of background, they're selling basic shirts for 300 plus, crowbars for $700, reselling them, literal bricks selling for $1,000 or more. And what that all turns into is a literal billion-dollar valuation with limited production, which is quite obviously very, very ideal to have. And so now getting into the branding extremes, I'm going to go a little bit into the history of how they got to this point and then jump straight to what this means for you and how you could take some of this information and implement it to actually get real results. And so the origin story of Supreme, it was founded in 1994 by James, started as a small skate shop, borrowed, I guess they borrowed the Redbox logo. They built an authentic street culture connection. And so the point of this, the reason why I'm talking about this is to show that they started everything from a low point, right? They didn't start from some crazy place, which this means for you. They didn't start with an account loaded with 100,000 followers. They didn't start in a business with 10 recurring clients right away. They started from nothing and built this brand up, just like you might be doing right now with your business, with your personal brand. And so now jumping into kind of the meaty side of this scarcity strategy. And so what they've done is limited product production quantities, weekly drops, creating that urgency, products sell out in minutes, resale market drive ups, driving up the perceived value. And so now with that's the scarcity strategy side of it. And now with cultural positioning, it seems like they did collaborations with multiple luxury brands. They had artist partnerships, they had celebrity endorsements, they had street culture authenticity. And so all these different things that make up why their brand did well, how they set themselves apart from other brands in the space. And so now when it comes to the pricing power, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest ideas and concepts around Supreme and their success and just their whole brand in general, it comes down to the value perception shift. And this applies to obviously all different businesses, all different markets, all different products. And so if we think about it for them, their basic products are collectible artifacts, utility items, they're status symbols for people. And the price is overall an investment opportunity for people looking into buying Supreme, which is a pretty crazy way that they've set this up. Getting into the resale economics of what they've built out, they have $48 t-shirts reselling for 300 plus. They have $68 accessories selling for 500 plus. And this creates the perception of always valuable with their brand. And another interesting concept around Supreme is the badge of cool effect. And so this is products becoming identity markers, ownership signaling cultural awareness, price basically becoming a secondary to belonging. It's just something that they have to have. So now getting into the personal brand connection. What does this actually mean for your business, for your personal brand, for your content? What can we actually take away from this to get real results and create an authentic brand that stands out? I have a few lessons here, and the first one being the trust premium. And so Supreme charges 5 to 10 as much for basic items as other people in their industry. And so what this means for you, for your personal brand, is if they can do this, why can't you charge 2 to 5 times, at least 2 to 5 times as much as your industry rate? Because if you think about the business model of Supreme and the clothing brand and everything that they've built, and then when we think about your business, your personal brand, whatever you're doing, they both leverage trust and positioning, just like every business does. So now with the positioning parallel, basically looking at the way that Supreme has positioned themselves and how we can take that and position our personal brands and our offers and our businesses in a similar manner and bank off of it. Supreme, their bread and butter was the limited availability. And so now for your personal brand, it can be something like specialized expertise to set you apart and be able to sell at those higher prices. And they both have perceived exclusivity, right? And now another thing to note is the community factor, right? Supreme had the hypebeast culture, and your personal brand can have the loyal audience, right? If you build up that reciprocity, you can build a strong personal brand, such as Alex Hormozi, that completely stands out and has a very, very strong audience. And with both of these, belonging drives decisions. And so now the main takeaways that actually matter, the business lessons here. Lesson 1 is scarcity creates value, right? Limited client roster, having enrollment periods, exclusive offerings, things like this are all takeaways that we can look at from what Supreme has done but for personal branding and for business. And now lesson number 2 is positioning trumps features. I made another video that's a bit more in depth about what exactly this means. But at the end of the day, people are going to lean on how much they like the person, depending on how they position themselves over the actual product itself, right? The features of the product. And Supreme has learned that exact thing. People are not buying Supreme because they want the quality or the material or the fabric in the t-shirt, but simply because it has the Supreme logo on it. And that is the overall power of branding. And so, like I said, it's not about product quality. It's about what ownership actually does represent. And for personal branding for online offers, it's about being part of something that they respect. It's basically being able to represent yourself with a person or a community that you have a lot of respect for and that you trust a lot. And so overall, focus on identity and not specifications. And now lesson number 3 is community drives loyalty. And so as we can see, Supreme built culture and not just products. And on the other hand, personal brands build movements. And so both create belonging, not just transactions. So the takeaway here is to have a brand that actually does stand out and actually is unique. For example, to go back to Alex Hormozy, he's the guy that pushes give value first, right? All about creating content and putting out as much value as you can. And so the action step for yourself is to find those few things that can differentiate you in the market. And so the implementation framework for your personal brand, looking at all of this information, is to define that clear positioning. And so what sets you apart? What is your exact messaging? What makes you unique? What makes your offer unique? Your content unique? Everything about you. Number 2 is going to be creating strategic scarcity. How can you learn from exactly what Supreme has done with their scarcity, with the way that they push their products, and do that in your own offer, in your own business? And then creating that community identity, right? Basically for your personal brand, creating a community around it, making people feel like they are more so a part of something rather than just following you, just seeing your content. And you can do this. A really easy way to do this is by just interacting with your community a lot and just showing up more, being more omnipresent, posting on stories, getting them to interact, making them feel like they're part of something, right? Think of them following you as more of an investment, right? And as a community of investors, and you have to continuously keep them interested and keep them happy for actually being there. And that just about wraps up this video. Next steps, if you are a coach, business owner, or info seller, anything like that, and you actually do want to build a Supreme level personal brand, the next steps for you could be to book a strategy called Below, where I'll basically give you a custom brand strategy and the implementation steps to see what exactly could be optimized, how you could go about doing this for your own brand and for your own business. But overall, I want to leave you with this note. It's not about the product quality. It's about what the brand actually represents.